Hello, lovely people. Welcome into That Sounds Gay. My name is Jer, and I will be your podcast host for a short time. I've always really loved sort of very specific type of aesthetic when it comes to a woman. I don't want to use the word delusional, because that's not the word, but there's this sort of fabulousness that comes, this sort of idea that they are clearly living on a different planet, a different form of reality than the rest of us will ever be on. Specifically, I'm going to reference someone like Ina Garten, someone who is just so glamorous in her own way. She wears that blue sweater, jacket, t-shirt combo with that scarf sometimes, plain fitted black pants, and that sensible bob, and is talking about her travels to Mykonos and buying the most expensive artisan cheese as she enunciates and eloquates these words that are so far beyond what my own comprehension financially is. And then she has the audacity to say, if you can't do this extremely glamorous task that would require an almost unlimited amount of funds, connections that you would only be able to make if you were at the highest tiers and echelons of social clubs and statuses and knowing the right people, then you can just buy it at the grocery store. And it doesn't matter that you don't have these connections. You can still be in the same level, but not playing the same game as her. I've always loved types of women that they'll sort of have this glamorous, beautiful piece of jewelry on top of a very plain t-shirt with no other accessories. I had this coworker who was a little bit older, and I always thought that she was so fabulous. And she had this very specific lip liner that I loved. I was obsessed with it. And I remember asking her about it one day because it was her signature color. It was this beautiful sort of wine colored red. And I remember asking her one day, we were standing in the sun and we didn't really have much to do. And she was telling me that it was, I forget the brand. It's fading from my memory right now, but I remember it was a very expensive lip liner that she used as an all-over lip color. So she would line her lips, and then she'd take a brush and she would sort of blend it down onto her lips and fake a lipstick because it was such a pretty color. And it was this extremely expensive liner. And that was the only thing that she invested in. She did not wear any makeup at all except this lip liner. Maybe like a little tinted moisturizer to kind of even out the colors of her face. Mascara, perhaps, on a day where she was feeling fancy. But for the most part, she did not wear makeup except this very beautiful lip liner that made her lips pop. And I thought that she was so fabulous for having this very plain aesthetic in her normal everyday life. But then when it came to this liner, that's what she invested in. And I've always gravitated towards that. I've always gravitated towards these types of women who are just so powerful in themselves. I find it inspiring. I find it, I don't know, influential on who I have become as a person. And similarly, there was this older woman that I knew in my hometown who was, again, very plain, had just muumuus all the time on, floral, cheap-looking muumuus, had kind of big Texas hair, even though she was from Southern California, and always was just very plain and dressed down, wore flats. But then she had, I remember vividly, these stunning diamond earrings, these big pageanty diamond earrings that had little dangles on them. And they would just compliment everything about who she was. That there was this touch of elegance amongst all of the plain, amongst all of the humdrum and the everyday, that showed that she was living in a different fantasy, that perhaps in a different world she was just this pageant woman all the time, walking around in giant teased hair and beautiful jewelry and gowns that draped to the floor with sequins and sparkles, just because, very gaudy in presentation, but glamorous in its own right. And perhaps that would have been an alternate reality for this person. And I've always really loved those types of women. I find myself constantly drawn to those personality types because there's this idea that while they're playing the game of life, they're not taking it terribly seriously. This fantasy. And I've always wanted that. I've always wanted to have that be something that people remember about me, that maybe amongst everything else, the way that I present myself, there is this element of bouginess that's in there that sort of stands out and makes people think, oh, that is really extravagant. But why doesn't everything else match? It doesn't matter, because that pop, that focus, that is heightened, it's elevated. Something is remarkable about that. I don't know why that's the type of people that I've always been drawn to, especially when it comes to femme presenting people, especially women, where I almost want to be them. I almost want to be that level, exemplified in this one tiny detail, this one little facet, in the same way that Ina Garten wore these very plain clothes, but then would talk and enunciate and describe her life in this really extravagant way that no one could possibly achieve. And so for today's episode, thank you as always for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy it. I clock in, I do my work, I take my breaks, and I go home.
That's
Get
right.
over it. I am a cog in this machine.
I love that. That's exactly how I feel at my work. I try now. I've gotten to the point where I'm gonna just show up and be happy about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't expect me to
that was
do
the
extra.
end of me at Disney. I'm like, I am here, and that is the most that you are gonna get.
Mm-hmm.
You are not getting much more than that from me.
That's right. You'll be lucky if I crack a smile. The fuck? Consider yourself blessed.
Yeah. I'm wearing a mask, so I don't even need to smile at you. I'm not even going to smile with my eyes.
Yeah.
You tell me to smile all day long like Tyra Banks, and I'm just going to stare at you and nod.
I'm listening. Yes.
My last shift that I worked, I decided that I did not want to do the whole thing. I only wanted to do like 5 hours or something, because I had no interest in being there. So I was like, my leader, I was like, hey, I am going to go home, I think, before my lunch. I'm just going to do 5. And she says, oh, well, we're kind of short-staffed, so I can't let you go. And I'm like, oh, I don't think you understood what I said. I'm going home at 5 hours. I think that's a company problem. It's not a me problem. I'm sorry that you have to deal with this, but that's a company problem that they didn't hire enough people to fill my position because they haven't been hiring. So I'm going to go home at 5. And she goes, are you sure you can't just stay the full shift? And I'm like, I'm positive. I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Thank you for the offer, but that's kidnapping.
Thank you so much for the offer. It is not in my fantasy today.
No.
Have a great day. I'll be out of here in an hour. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh. And you're welcome.
And you're welcome. You're welcome that I showed up at all.
Yeah, bitch. Oh, child, I can't. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Malicious non-compliance. I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yes.
These people don't care.
No.
They don't care. They don't care what your name is, you
No.
know? No.
They don't. They
No.
just they're I get it. Like we're trying to get through our
Hmm.
job, we're trying to do our thing, but
Hmm.
Miss Mama, Miss Girly Pop, life is
Yeah,
too short to be
I
wasting all
know.
of her time
Yeah.
at
Who do
this
you think you
nasty job.
are?
Right.
Asking me to go above and beyond, like expecting me when you don't expect it out of anybody else. There's no way.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
Oh my gosh, are we going to talk about this? I'm going to tell you about this,
Tell me
girl. So
about
I tell this
this.
story. I think we're getting right into it, okay? So I'm going to tell this story. I watch so much Hell's Kitchen.
Do you?
It's an unhealthy
Oh wait, you
amount.
mentioned that last week.
Yes, that I watch a lot of Hell's Kitchen. Oh, did I tell you this story already about
Yeah,
balls?
yeah. Yeah, about the balls.
Oh, so I just told that story to another girl today, and I'm like, you really have to consider what these bitches are eating and what you are. You know, they
Yeah.
asked her to do this crazy long report, and it's really something that we don't get paid for. Now, listen, I'm not an asshole that says that's not my fucking job. No, I'm not like that at all. But I also am very, like, I'm professionally saying I don't think that's part of my role
Yeah.
here. So, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to pass this off. Now, if you need assistance with something that
Yes.
is within my like prerogative, I'm more than happy to help you. You know,
That's a
but
great way of saying that.
yeah, girl. But come on, you know, how could you just because I'm good at typing and I'm not? What
Yeah.
the fuck?
So
Learn it.
I don't think that this was within my role. And this is the
Hmm.
scope of the things that I was hired to do. Thank you
Right.
so much. I will help you out if you need to. Girl, I was watching this TikTok last night and it was talking about um being salaried and how a lot of times you'll sort of
Uh,
get teased with this idea of being salaried and that you get more money and all that, and they'll be like, "What, you get so much more?" But the thing is, they don't have a cap on hours, so they can take advantage of
mm-mm.
you. And
That's me.
that's you. Are you salaried?
Yeah,
Girl, not all.
I
It's
know.
salary is such a joke, and I
I
wish
think
that there
so.
were more stipulations about overtime regarding
Oh,
salaried workers,
none.
and there are
Yes, no,
none, and there should
none.
be. And I
Yeah.
don't understand why that falls through the cracks, because that to me seems like something that squarely falls in labor law. But I remember I had a manager when I was still back at Disney who was salaried, and he was tasked with this like project. It was an employee appreciation type gig,
Mm.
where do you remember when Oreo did those Disney Oreos and they were like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy,
Yeah.
Pluto, and they did like a special line of those. So they had those, and they were tasked with wrapping individual packages of these Oreos that they had to send out to every single employee. So he had to go through and get 3 Oreos each, put it in a little plastic baggie, and then take 3 ribbon, red, yellow, and blue, and tie them together in a pretty bow and tie up this bag of Oreos so that every single person could get one. And that
Oh.
was his task. And there were like 400 people there at the time. There were like 400 people in our department. So he had to do 400 of these bags. So I'm like, I'm doing my job. I'm in my location, and I get a call when he's like, "Hey, I know you like overtime. Do
Uh,
you want to come and help me out with a project?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I go down and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here." And he goes, "Okay, cool. Can you help me with this?" Explains it, and I'm like, "Okay, I can stay till like 11, and then I gotta go." So I text Jake and I'm like, "I'm gonna stay a couple extra hours to help out my manager with this project." And so it rolls around to like, I don't know, like 10:30, and I'm like, okay, I only have like half an hour left. How many more of these do you need to do? And he looks at his list and he goes, about 250. Because when I tell you, like, cutting this ribbon and tying it up, it was a long process.
Duh.
And
The
you don't
ribbon wasn't even cut.
know, he like had
Oh,
spools of ribbon that he had to cut. So like he was cutting ribbon, I was taking Oreos out and putting them in the packages. And it seems like it wouldn't take that long. Like that seems like a pretty easy task. But it took so freaking long. And then also we weren't allowed to put any like broken Oreos in there. So any ones that were a little bit chipped, we had to like put off into another one, and the managers were just going to eat those, right? So then it gets to like my time to go, and somebody else was getting off their shift, and he's like, "Can you stay?" And she stayed for like an extra hour.
mm.
So I go home and I leave. I come back the next morning and I see him again, and I'm like, "Oh my God, did you ever leave?" And he goes, "Yeah, I did. I just started my shift again, and I just had to come in for today's shift." And I was like, "What time did you go home last night?" He said, "I think I left the office around 6:30 a.m. and he had to come back at noon."
No,
Girl, right?
no, no.
And did not get paid overtime for that.
Oh my
A
gosh.
scam.
A
Bitch, a
scam,
scam.
bitch. That's devastating. I would be
Right.
so upset of my wasted time.
Me too. I'd be I'd be beyond upset. Like I can't believe that I signed up for this.
Yes. Out of the goodness of my heart. That's what it lesson fucking learned, girl.
Yeah.
A tough one.
So I don't know if I ever went back to the corporate life. I think it would be a
Yeah.
very swift. We ain't doing none of that. No, it's gonna be hourly all the time. Salary can kiss my butt.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Considering I am salary, I have to agree with there's no overtime at my job. Some girls stay at like 5:30. We leave at 5:15, period.
Mm,
I keep telling the new girls that I train, I go, you do not get paid 1 minute after.
yeah.
Okay? So whatever you're doing, you fucking drop it and
Yeah.
you wait at that line of clock. And bitch, we punch, you know? We punch in. It's like I'm working in the 80s.
Stop.
But I tell them all the time, you
Yeah.
gotta leave right at by 5:12, my shit's packed and ready to go.
Yeah.
No?
And
Yeah,
you
there's no
ready to
break.
go when you get out of there. You
Hmm.
gotta respect your time. You have to
Yeah.
respect your time. And I get the hustle's real, and I get that work is real. But I think the thing is, there's always work. There's
Always.
always work. You and I could be working the same job, you know, McDonald's. We could get every single burger done that's on the list in 5 minutes, and we could be like, okay, now we get to chill. There's going to be somebody else in line in 30 seconds. There's
Oh yeah.
always something, and that's,
Hmm.
small scale. Corporate life, there's always paperwork, there's always calls, there's always emails to send, there's meetings to book. It never ends. You were
No, it
always
never ends.
going. So
And it's always gonna be there.
exactly, you don't need to rush through it. You can
No.
just enjoy your day and
Hmm.
relax. You're on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen that one girl? She plays like the office character. I forget what her name is, but like her manager is always trying to get her to do stuff, and she's always got her Starbucks, and she's like, "No, no, I'm not doing that. Thank you, bye, bye."
Yes.
I
Yes. I
love
see.
her. I That like motivated me
Yeah.
so much in like my last like little bit of time at Disney.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
no, I'm not doing that. Thank you though. Bye.
Yeah. It's tough, dude. I hate it.
Yeah.
Anything to make my life easier at work, I do.
Yeah.
You know, I've been using AI chat all the
The
time.
chat
Uh,
GPT.
yes, I use it all the time. Sometimes people, because mainly work with emails and people
Yeah, yeah.
complaining, and that's fine, and maintenance requests and all that. Some people have so many complaints that their emails are a wall of an essay, girl. They wrote me a book. And it's so convoluted and hard to read. I go on
Mm,
Chat AI, note taking assistant. I just punch that in and it gives me the bullet points. And I'm like, why couldn't we do this from the beginning? I got an email from a guy who said, I just had an enlightening conversation about problems that are bubbling to the surface of the community. I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What's the complaint? Oh, the palm trees are getting into the pool. The leaves
Oh
could have
my
been a
god.
2 second. Oh my gosh, so superfluous beyond. So there's no way I'm ever going to read another email again. I'll just punch it right in and it'll do it for I love so anything to make my job easier.
Yeah,
I'm not
girl.
a big believer in working hard. I'm a big believer in working smart. You know,
Yes.
I don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
Anything to make my life easier.
I mean,
So,
you've been like that as long as I've known you. When we first met and we started working together, you and I were like just off in the corner, not doing our jobs, just hanging out and
yeah,
relaxing and just chatting about all kinds of things.
all kinds,
All kinds
girl.
of things.
Oh, asking questions, giving
Yeah.
answers, taking names.
Yeah.
You know, that's all we had to do. And honestly, I miss Launch Bay was one of the best times I had at Disney.
Yeah.
It could just be from standing around. I gotta say, all the times you weren't there, I was depressed. I was looking for solace. Where is my light? I was so sad every time you weren't there and I didn't have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
It gets lonely.
It
Oh,
does. It does. I was always like walking around and I'd ask the other cast members, I'd be like, is Jasmine here today? And they'd be like, no, she's not here. And I'm like, well, damn it, now I have to do my job.
I know now they have to do what I'm like getting paid for.
Right?
I
Now I gotta
always
do
say that.
something.
Don't ever ask me to do something that I'm getting paid for. Don't ever. I can't.
Don't even look in my
But seriously,
direction.
anytime I get a phone call, I'm like, you can't just hold it for a minute and not call me. Why do you have to call me at my job?
I
I'm
don't want to
working.
work, bitch.
Yeah.
I don't want to work. Don't make me. I don't want to wait
I
for this
yeah.
work to be over.
It's tough.
It is.
It's tough. And all of that comes from learning hard lessons about being really good at your job.
Yes.
Am I right?
Very that.
Uh, it's because we're so good at our jobs in the past. I think that we've just been burned so much.
Yeah.
And now we know, oh, right, they don't care. They're just going to add more onto me.
Right.
And the nice person in us feels obligated to follow through. And it's
Yeah.
just a burnout almost every time,
Truly.
you know?
Right.
So, what's the
And
phrase? I think it's called quietly quitting.
oh, quiet quitting, right? That's
Quiet
when they
quitting.
that's when you just like stop doing everything that's not in your job stipulation, which is so funny that boomers and Xers coined this little phrase to talk about millennials and Gen Zers who just decided that their time was more valuable than the company's money.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
such an interesting phrase that they were like, let's make them feel bad about not overworking themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a strange and interesting thing that these people have gotten roped so hard into
Oh, yeah.
capitalism because they're so unaffected by it. And
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in you do what your job description says.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do more than you need to. Go
Mm-mm.
in, do your job and be good at it, but you don't have to be going and doing the most.
No. No, you certainly don't.
They're not going to give you a gold star. You're going to get the same raise that everybody else did.
Yes. And at the end of the day, years down the line, they don't remember you.
Yeah,
They don't remember you. You could put 20 years in a company. One mistake, it's over.
right. And you know what's so weird about that is that, like, I don't know, 50 years ago when your parents were really young coming up in the market, when my parents were coming up in the job market, it was a job market where you went in and you did lots of work, you got recognized, you got promoted, you got moved
Yeah.
up, you
Yeah.
got remembered, you got your name on the wall. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's an era that's long gone. And I think a lot of these older people think that that's the era that's still happening now. That
I
you can
know.
still work really hard and get promoted. But
Hmm.
that just is not the reality. It's
No,
just not.
no. I don't get employee of the month. You know
I've
what I
never
mean?
seen Employee of the Month ever in my entire adult
No,
working life.
no. And I started working in 2014 and not once.
Girl, I feel so old. I started working in 2007 or 8.
Stop it. Are you
I
serious?
did.
Oh, bitch.
I think it was 2008 cuz I had just graduated from high school in 7 and I was on my way into the workforce and I think I had done a community college class. No, I think it was 7. It was one of those two. But yeah. No. Yes. When did I graduate? Yeah, I graduated in 7. Literally my brain hard stopped. I had to think about how old I was. Yeah, I graduated in '07.
Man, what was your first job?
My first job was Hollywood Video. Do you
One of
remember
my
that, girl?
favorite all-time places to get candy and to get
Yes.
videos, girl.
Yes.
Oh my God, blast from the past.
I talk about that job so much on this podcast in particular. When I had Banana on, he and I talked about Hollywood Video for like 15 minutes or something.
I
It's
love
crazy.
Hollywood
It was
Video.
so good. It was so good. It
Yes,
was my favorite
yes.
job ever.
I
My favorite job
bet I
ever.
would be picking up Shrek 2 every Friday with my dad and making him watch it with me. Oh
My
my
favorite was
God.
people that would come in and just absolutely panic attack over the late fees. They'd be like, "Oh my god, I can't get a late fee." I'm like, "Girl,
Yes.
it's a dollar.
Yeah.
Girl, it's a dollar. I understand, but
Oh my God.
it's a
Were
dollar."
people renting out VHSs at the time or was it
Mm,
DVDs at that point? It
my
must have been.
store had fully phased out VHSs.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were some. The one that was in the neighboring town did have VHSs. They had like a small wall of them. And in my hometown, there was another video store that was not a chain. It was like a mom and pop. It was called Superstar Video.
Mm.
They had an entire back wall of VHSs still.
Oh,
But we
I
did
love
have a
that.
VHS player
Oh,
in our
wow.
store. Because you know how you would go in and there'd be like movies and stuff?
Yes.
We were supposed to be playing the like advertisements and the Illuminati script, you know.
Yeah,
Here at
sure.
Hollywood Video, it's the best place to buy videos. Get a family movie and get a horror movie for you and the family today, and buy a bag of popcorn. We're supposed to play all
Yeah.
that shit, right?
Yeah.
But we would just end up playing whatever we wanted and playing movies and stuff. My boss just had a rule of as long as it's not PG-13, you're fine. If it is PG-13, make sure it's a very specific genre of PG-13.
Mm.
So,
Mm. Oh, I
yeah, it was
loved
fun.
that.
It was
I
fun.
loved Hollywood Video. That
It
was
was
one of my favorite
great.
places to go. I looked forward to it with my dad all the time. We were movie people, you know. Oh, I love
It was so
That's so cool.
good.
I wish I had a cool job like that. That's
What was your
sick.
first job?
Bitch, I worked in a paint store.
A
I was
paint
out
store
there delivering paint to construction sites all by myself. I drove a
delivering?
truck. Yeah, I drove a truck. I could tell you any color from this dying paint company that doesn't exist anymore. Um, I know all about the finishes. I know all the different glass, semi-gloss, flat,
Do you know
you
like
know.
hex codes and stuff?
Uh, I was this close to memorizing all of them. I wasn't. No, I don't know any of them.
Okay, I'm gonna
But
ask you a compulsory question here.
yes.
Okay, so I want you to imagine Luigi.
Mm,
Luigi, the video game character. I want
yes.
you to tell me what color that uncut Italian cock is from that paint
Oh,
can collection.
ooh, Mesatan. That's
Thank you.
immediately Mesatan. It's
Thank
very
you.
close to Sahara sand, but it's not quite. It's not quite. It's a bit whiter, because it doesn't get much sun, you know. It's covered underneath that underwear and the overalls, girl.
I am a huge Luigi simp. I always have been.
Are you serious?
Yes, ever
Oh,
since I was a kid. I remember, do you remember Circuit City?
yeah. Oh,
Girl,
wow.
I remember I went into Circuit City with my dad and he was looking for a flat screen TV. And so he dropped me off at the like little video game area because I was obsessed with it. And they had the demo games. And I was
Yeah.
sitting there playing Luigi's Mansion, the original one on GameCube, for like the first chapter because they had that much on the demo. I
Mm.
would play every single time that we would go into Circuit City, and I would just play that demo again and again and again. I loved Luigi, loved him
Oh.
ever since I was a kid. And when I got older, I was like, oh, oh. So I'm kind of known within all my like online communities as being a Luigi simp. So when the movie came out, people were tagging me in that photo
Yes.
where Bowser's like twirling his mustache.
Yes, the tiny little cute tortured scene. We love to see
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
Representation, girl.
it is.
It
And I'm like,
matters.
Bowser and Luigi, it's
Yeah.
canon. Gay people. Gay get two
Oh,
gays.
I love it.
Did you have like a video game crush, like a TV show crush at all?
A TV show crush, a video game
Like
crush
there was a
for me,
cartoon.
it was Sora
Oh my
from
god,
Kingdom
yes.
Hearts.
Yes.
I was obsessed with Kingdom Hearts for the longest time. Never owned a PS, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to always go to a friend's house to go play it. And I could not, I would replay levels over and over. I would replay the Little Mermaid level simply
Yes.
because I
The
saw that
singing.
upper torso, girl.
The
Simply
torso.
for the upper
The
torso.
titties.
Yes, I was all about it. The hair, the gloves. And
Yeah.
then as soon as he got his legs again, I'm like, well, all right, fantasy is over, you know? But I would like act like, okay, you be Goofy, I'll be
Yeah.
Donald, and we're so close to him. Yeah, dude. I loved Sora. Sora was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, ooh. Okay, to be honest,
Tell me.
it's not a TV show, but it's a movie. And I was obsessed. I was obsessed with watching this movie with my dad all the time. It would show up
Mm.
on channel what, 36 all the
Okay.
time in Spanish. A movie called Zorro with Antonio Banderas and
Yes.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yes,
And
bitch. Boner
I
City.
used to, my eyes would be glued to the screen every time
Yeah.
Catherine Zeta-Jones would show
Oh,
up.
she was so stunning.
I wanted to be her. I wanted to be in her. I wanted to
Yes.
be with her. She
Yes.
was so beautiful. I
Gorgeous.
easily my awakening. Easily what opened my eyes.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bitch,
And
I
to
love
this
that.
day, it's one of my favorite movies. Not a lot of people have seen it. I guess, but it's so good. It's my top, at least in my top five,
Yeah. I
all
remember
time
his shirt
like
was open
crushes.
a lot. And I
Oh,
remember looking at that man and being like, fuck,
I know.
that is
He can get it.
hot.
All of it. Everybody was
Yes.
so sexy in that movie.
Yes. For why? For why? I,
Oh, for us, for me and
yeah,
you.
for us. So that was your awakening. I think
Oh,
my
definitely.
true gay awakening, there was a music video, Robbie Williams, dance DJ. And it's like this song where he is literally just like singing about wanting to dance all night, but in the music video he's trying to get this girl's attention. And so
Mm.
he's like dressed really nice and he like takes off his jacket and she's like not impressed and she rolls her eyes. So then he takes his shirt off and she like looks and she catches a look at the glistening body and uh, whatever.
Oh,
And so then he takes his pants off and you don't see like full cock or anything, but it's a you know that he's nude. I think you might even see his butt. And she like looks and she's not impressed. So then he like rips his skin off and he's just flesh. And she looks and she's not
oh,
into that. And he takes his flesh off and he's a skeleton. And then she dances with him. And
what?
it's like the strangest music video.
Wow.
But I saw it on a VHS. I was at a babysitter's house or somebody says I don't remember. and they had a VHS of it, and I rewound that scene and I watched it so many times in the back room waiting, and
Yes.
I heard somebody coming, so I pressed a button thinking I'd turn off the TV, but I pressed the record button. So
Bitch.
I ejected it so fast and I threw it behind the couch
Oh,
because I
not
didn't
the
want them
skelly
to know that I
bones.
was watching it. And I didn't want them to know that I was watching that particular part. I'm sure they found it years later and were like, what is this video doing back here?
Yes.
Because it was like a couch that was pressed against the wall.
Oh
So,
my
like, I
God,
don't
the
think they found it
fear.
for years. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
I
my
can't.
awakening.
I used to rewind the scene of Catherine Zeta-Jones and Mr. Zorro Antonio. They were in a barn. Oh, it was so good. They were in a barn
Mm
and they both got swords and she's like, "Bitch, don't come into my house." And Zorro's like, "I'm gonna go wherever the fuck I want." And then he fucking draws a Z on her clothes and her clothes fall off.
I
And
remember
to
that
see, oh,
scene.
ooh, and then she like, sword fighting, right? So they're kind of like jumping around, doing a little dance.
Right.
She was jumping around with clothes barely hanging by a thread. It was made for me, you know? It was made for me to rewatch and watch and watch and watch again.
Oh, that's so hot, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that for you. That's so good. I'm so sorry you had to eject it though. That's tough. You ever watch that video to this day?
I think in my head, it's such a good memory of like young gay me that I don't know
Yeah.
if I want to go back and rewatch it. Because what if I go back and it's like not what I remember it? You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Do you ever
Yeah.
have that? I mean, maybe that's just because I'm old as hell. But
Yeah. I get it.
I don't know. Sometimes I think back on things from my childhood and I'm like, that was so
Yeah.
nostalgic and cool. And I'll rewatch it and I'm like, that's not what I remember it being. I
I
remember it
get
being
it.
so different.
Yeah. I did that recently with the movie Spirit, the horse movie.
Oh, really?
I was a horse girl. I truly was. I went to Burger King and got those little toys and made them
You
kiss
did
all the
not.
time. I sure did. Yeah, I did that recent because Spirit came on Netflix recently.
Oh, got
And
you.
I was like, I can't watch this again. I watched it over and over and over as a child and I
Girl.
just can't. I feel like it's gonna ruin it for me. I totally get it.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I'm
You
gonna
know,
watch it one of these days.
you know what movie came on Netflix recently that I still have not seen was Brokeback Mountain. I really want to watch it.
Oh, you
I've never
haven't seen
watched
that?
it. No. That was one of the biggest gay things that happened when I was a kid.
Huge.
It was huge and it was such a controversy, especially in my small little town which you visited. You know what that town's like.
Yes.
That tiny little town, everybody was losing their mind over that movie.
Yeah.
Anybody that, in like a bad way, anybody that watched
Yeah.
that movie, they were kind of ostracized. They were looked at with like a weird eyebrow. Like, you like gay shit? You homosexual? What's wrong with you? You know,
Oh my
that was like
gosh.
definitely the mentality. But
Yes.
there was not a lot of like gay stuff when I was growing up, and when there was, I wasn't really allowed to consume it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so anything like when like the Zorro movie was on, you know, and not that that was gay or anything, but just even like the hint, he was so sexy and like his
I
shirt was open.
know.
Just even like a little tease of that, I was catching every view when Holes came out and Shia LaBeouf was showering in that one scene. I
Yeah.
paused so many times on that just to see if I could see anything because I was so repressed and like I was just like desperate for something just
Yes.
to like make
Yes.
me I think on some level I was like trying to figure out like am I gay? Do I like this stuff? And then the fact that I kept pausing on everything, I'm like, "Oh yeah, mama's fruity."
It's absolutely true though. There was hardly any gay representation movies. I remember Brokeback Mountain being the biggest one
Yeah.
for me, at least on my end, where I just could not again like stop staring at the screen. It was Titanic.
Oh, when Kate Winslet is doing the
Oh,
painting scene.
I couldn't believe first time seeing boobies on the silver screen. and we had the double VHS at home, and
Yes.
I would just put in the the second part.
Just watch
I would
that
just watch
part.
that part.
God,
It was
double
so
VHS. It was such
sensual.
a big movie that it had to be on two.
Yeah. Oh yeah, huge. I love that movie to this day. I know, but I care about that
Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
Do
But
you? Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, but the scene, the couch scene, of course.
Yeah.
What about when they're fucking in the car and that
Oh
shit
my
gets
God.
steamy? Oh, it took my little mind so much to process. Oh, it's because they're hot and sweaty. Oh, right, because they're fucking right. It was beyond like the romance portion of it was like I hadn't seen in like a movie, I guess, in a
Yeah.
big blockbuster like that. So, ooh,
Did you
they had to take
comprehend?
that away from
How
me.
long did it take for you to comprehend all of that?
Oh my gosh, I was such an innocent thing. It must have been middle school. I guess that's when everybody does, right? But
Girl, it was
it
like
must
high
have
school
been.
for me.
Oh,
Yeah, it
really?
was like 11th or 12th grade that I finally started to comprehend all that.
Oh,
Can
girl.
I ask
Yeah.
what your talk was? Did you get one?
No, I didn't. And it's because I got my period when I was 9 years old. That's fourth grade.
Girl, that's early.
Very, very early. And I was developing fast. So they sort of relied on school to
Got
teach
it.
me the science, but the talk, that was a no. They attempted,
Mm,
my poor parents, they did try. They're just, they grew up in the 60s and the 50s. What are they gonna do?
yeah.
But they attempted in a Jack in the Box, and I was not having it. Not the Jack in the Box
Not
with
the
the
Jack in
curly
the
fries in
Box.
front of me. No.
Not the greasy fingers.
No, I just could not handle it. But by that time, I think I was already exploring with like porn. I'll never
Mm,
forget the first porn I ever saw. It was a girl who was masturbating,
mm.
oh my gosh. I it just I've been trying to find that video all my life, and but I can picture it so clearly in my mind.
Same with
And it
my
was at the
first.
family desktop computer, girl, in the middle of the living room.
Yeah. Same with
Uh,
my first. I can still picture it. I know exactly what it looked like. I
yes.
remember every detail, and I have no idea what I would even look for because I don't have a clue. But yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
like 11th grade or something for me. I didn't even know what masturbation was until like 12th grade,
Oh,
which like
wow.
I I think, you know, is
Yeah.
pretty crazy. My talk was in an Olive Garden in like 7th or 8th grade or something, and it
Mm.
was like, so your body's changing, and you're gonna start noticing that you have hair in weird places, and that your voice starts to deepen, and you're gonna start feeling things for girls. Jokes was not. You're gonna start feeling things for
Lies.
girls in ways that you haven't felt before, and
Oh.
it was one of those types of situations, but I didn't really like learn anything. Girl, for the longest time, I thought if I kissed a girl, she would get pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
legitimately thought. I had no idea. I was so uneducated about any of that. And so,
Yeah,
I mean, thank God
same.
I'm fruity because there was, I mean, who knows? Who knows
And
if
who
I,
taught you the ways, girl?
who taught me the ways?
I mean, come on. Like, who taught you to own your feelings and be like, yeah, this is what I'm in. There's no confusion about it anymore. That's such a loaded question.
I think it was my friend Sarah back in my hometown. She was the one
Oh,
who told me what masturbation even was. She was like, "Go
yeah.
home and Google it," and so I did, and that's when I saw my first porn, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I came back and I told her, and she's like, "Did you like it?" And I was like, "It was a guy," and no, I didn't like it because I'm straight. And she's like, "You liked it. I could tell you liked it." And she was
Oh.
like, she ended up being like a really hardcore right wing kind of person who was we won't get too much into that, but it was she was a really good friend for a certain period of my
At the
life.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she really helped me own my enjoyment of sexuality. She helped me sort of like very early on be like, you're bi. You're bi at the very
Yeah.
least. Go ahead and admit that. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I was much older because I had to do so much unlearning when I finally separated from my family officially, like no longer talk to them anymore. It took a
Mm.
lot of unlearning to sort of take away all of these feelings that I had about being gay, about knowing gay people, um my I don't know, sort of homophobic ideals that I still had. So it took a long time for that. But she was kind of
Uh,
like the first one.
yeah. Yeah. It was Friends for me too.
Yeah.
It was Friends. Um, the way, yeah,
Do
yeah,
you remember
supportive.
like what your first like gay thing was that you saw on TV? And did you have anybody that was like there to help you out and process that feeling or no?
No, I had no one to like supervise. And to be perfectly honest, it wasn't a gay thing. It was a gay thing on my computer because I would look it up. I would look it up. I was so interested in girls and girls' bodies
mm,
because I was developing so quickly. I just didn't understand why guys were looking at me
mm.
and why I had to dress a certain way to like appease the crowd, you
Oh,
know,
that's such a gross
cover
mindset
up.
too.
Well, I had double D's by 13.
Girl.
Tough. So I just was like, well, what is a woman supposed to look like? And then
Right.
I just fell into that hole from there. I had my first girlfriend when I was 14, and it lasted a couple months, but
Yeah.
um I liked her so much. She was so great. And then I just wish I had the strength to. I feel bad blaming my family, but they're
Mm.
definitely a big factor into why I haven't continued to pursue more of what I'm into.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Latinx thing though.
I
That's
feel
it's
that.
so heavy in our culture. There's a lot of
Yeah.
shame
Oh,
involving
yeah.
that
I
because
feel like they
it
have
goes
to
back to
die
machismo
in order for
culture.
me to be free, you
No, I
know?
feel that. I totally understand that. It was
Yeah.
like not until I fully separated from my parents, like
Mm.
said, I'm not talking to you anymore, we are done, that I sort of felt like that relationship was dead and I could be me.
Yeah, that's
But that it's
hard.
like deep in machismo culture, you know? It's
Oh,
not
huge.
okay to be masculine if you're assigned female at birth. It's not okay to be feminine if you're assigned male at birth. Like these are not things
Mm-hmm.
that are okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like deep in our culture. Yeah, no, I feel that. I remember like whenever gay stuff would be on TV, or on movies, my parents would get so uncomfortable and try to hide it. And I remember like one of the first times that I saw something on TV, my parents made me feel so bad about it. And I don't know if your parents have done anything like that too. You don't have to go into it if you don't want to,
Oh.
but like there was a gay kiss on Lost like in 2004 or something. And I remember my parents lost their mind and they were like, don't ever think that something like that is okay because that's against God and that's against nature and that's not what we're about and blah, 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 blah.
Mm-mm.
Like, went very hard in on it. So I felt a lot of shame about that.
Oh. Yeah. For it was the most recent thing that I can think of was I was watching Last of Us, and there's
Oh,
a beautiful
yes.
episode,
Girl, that episode made me
episode
cry.
3. Yeah. And it's about a couple, and it's a wonderful story. I mean, it's a wonderful addition to the story.
Yeah.
Okay. Um and I felt obligated to give my dad, because my dad was into the show. My dad
Mm,
and we're the watchers.
mm.
My mom not so much. But but I gave my dad a disclaimer. I go, "Dad, I need to tell you, okay?
Mm.
There's a bit of gay shit in here. Now it's not crazy, all right? But it's a bit of gay shit, and I need you to know that." Well, he goes, "Okay. I mean, okay." Now my dad is much more accepting. My mom was in the room, and I
Mm.
was so hesitant to say there's some gay shit. But there is. I had to be honest. And my mom immediately whipped her head to look at me, and she goes, "Oh, okay. So it's okay for you to see, but not the father, not Papa Milo?" It's not okay for him to watch it too. Why do you have to watch it? Why is it okay for you to see it? I go, no, 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 mom. I'm just, I'm just letting him know the forewarning. And she goes, oh, Dios mío, I just can't. I the thing okay eat. And she got up, left, 8 o'clock at night, went to church to go pray.
Mama,
Yeah,
no.
I felt awful that she felt that she had to do that on our behalf. And it's something I can laugh about now, definitely, but whoo boy, the tolerance level is not there. It's tough. I try to do my best. They're both 69, you know what I mean? They're
Mm-hmm.
just in their age, and it's a great
Yeah.
age, but they're in their age. And I
Yeah.
know at this point it's going to be real tough to change any of their minds. So
Yeah.
uh, but we're living in 2023 now. Why do we have to act so backwards with stuff? It's been around for centuries. It's been around for millennia.
Yeah, this
Okay?
is not anything new.
No, none,
And I feel
none.
like a lot of the older generation kind of assume like this is such a new thing. Why are so
Yeah,
many kids gay now? Why
yeah.
are they so gay now? And people said the same thing about left-handed people, you know? Because for a long
Oh
time,
yeah,
they thought that left-handed people were witches. And so
yeah.
they didn't tell anybody that they were left-handed because they didn't want to get burned or murdered for just having a
No,
different style of writing. And so when people finally were like, okay, if you're left-handed, you're not a demon. You're not possessed by Satan. You're just a normal person. You just have different ways of writing. More people came out and said, I'm left-handed. I've always been
that's right.
left-handed because they felt comfortable to do it. And that's exactly what's happening now is it's not that
Hmm.
there's more gay people. It's that people don't feel like they have to be scared anymore. Well,
I know
so
the
most
freedom,
people, the ones that are coming out at least.
and it just takes one to take the step and be brave enough, and that one gets
Yeah.
sacrificed so much. I mean, they get
Yeah.
put up at the stake for being
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
but it definitely has opened doors for so many. Yeah, the freedom that some kids have, I admire. I wish I admire it. I can't find the strength just yet.
Yeah.
But I think that's okay. That's just my journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And you're where you're at.
I'll
And
take
that's
my
okay.
time.
You
I have
should.
years.
There's no rushing, you know, on
Mm-mm.
life and doing that, you know?
Yeah.
There's no rush on that. You have so much of it. But I
Yeah.
think what's nice since you brought it up is that there's so much more representation now on TV.
Oh,
You know, that episode would have
yeah.
never existed when I was a kid. When I saw it, I cried because I thought I would have never seen this on TV. This is the
Yeah.
coolest thing. And you know, there's um what is that show about the high school kids where they're like a bunch of fruity kids and like they're all dating and stuff?
Oh,
Uh
Big Mouth.
big no, it's like a
No.
no, it's God, what is it called? Everybody tells me that I should watch it.
Oh, wait, are they real
They're like
people?
real people. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
River Euphoria?
Euphoria. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's that. Like
Yes.
stuff like that is on TV now. That was unheard of when I was a kid. We had like Degrassi, where there were two girls that were kissing, and the one girl was like publicly shamed for being bisexual or something. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
that was all that we had when I
Yeah.
was a kid. You know, and you're not too much younger than me, so you probably caught a little bit of Degrassi too. But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, we didn't have anything like that.
No, none. And the fact that it's so available now, it's amazing. So
Yeah,
many things have gone mainstream that are like would be unheard of, would be banned, would be like not okay.
yeah,
I don't know. There's been obviously there's setbacks, but there's so much good progress that has gone on.
yes.
You know, we
Just being
love
able
to
to see
see it.
yourself in media is so important so that
Yeah.
you can have hope. And I
Yeah.
remember being a kid and like playing The Sims and having the option to have like two gays kissing each other, two lesbians kissing each other,
Yeah.
and just being able to see that and seeing like, okay, they're happy in this fake world. If I just survive a little bit longer, I'll be happy too. And I'll have that
Hmm.
life. And the fact that people get to these kids get to see themselves on TV represented in happy, healthy ways, it helps them survive in ways that I don't think a lot of
Mm-mm.
cis straight people understand. Like, that's
No.
how we survive.
No. And it's because they've been represented in media all their lives, you know?
Exactly. They don't need any more representation.
No, no,
I
they sure don't.
very recently saw this TV show, I think, or it was on Netflix. It was called like 1889 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really interesting show. Fascinating sci-fi type watch. But
Mm.
there were just these a couple gay characters that were in the show. Um, Two of them in particular were very prominently featured, and they were kissing all over the place, fucking all over the place, like just just doing what they were doing, and their
Yeah,
relationship wasn't like healthy or anything because of their character arc and who they were to each other, but like they were just doing their thing as a couple in the same way that you would see like a I don't want to say like a toxic straight couple, but in like a toxic straight couple where,
sure.
you
Like
know,
a toxic
right,
relationship, you know?
you get to see that
Mm-hmm.
where that
The
wasn't,
reality.
yeah, like you don't really see things like
Mm-mm.
that on TV just very casually. Like these are two people that fell in love and one of them just happens to not be a good person.
Yeah.
We see that in straight relationships all the time, but we don't I mean we see that a little bit in gay stuff, but just the fact that it was very casually there and that it was not a big deal. It was just two gay guys doing their thing. I think it's freaking cool. I think it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember when, um, if a gay couple was on TV, one would always question, oh, is that the man or is that the woman in the
Mm,
relationship?
I fucking
And
hate
that's
that.
just not real.
Yeah.
That's just not real.
Yeah.
It's so demeaning to hear that,
It
you
really
know.
is. Like the whole point is that we're not trying to do heteronormativity.
I know. Stop trying to associate them with being hetero. They're fucking not. They're
Exactly.
both gay men or they're both gay women.
Right. Or
There's no
gay and B
question
people or
about
just
it.
queer and B people, you know? And I
Yes.
love that. And I love that
Yeah.
pronouns are being more considered these days and you see that in video games too. Just the most
Oh,
casual
yeah.
games where it's like, what are your pronouns? It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
And hopefully, I wonder what it's going to be like 10 years, 15, 20 down the line. Like how normal I see it all the time, by the way, pronouns in my signatures of my emails.
I love that
And I
so
welcome
much.
it every time, you know?
Yes, bitch. I love that.
Yeah. It's good.
It's important. It's
I
really
think so
important.
too. Oh, come on,
Come
progress.
on. Let's
Come
get
on.
sickening. Oh, grr. Oh, grr.
The bare minimum. We love to see it, you know?
Yeah.
But some acknowledgement. Like I can't believe it's been so many years and where there's acknowledgement happening around the country at the very least. I don't know if I can speak for the world,
Yeah.
but
Certainly we're here in the States for sure.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
spreading. It's spreading to other countries. I hear left and right about people in other countries that are seeing waves of queerness that are coming through and people are
Mhm.
trying really hard to create progressive change that will affect the people like both our parents who have these dead set ideas about gay shit
Yeah.
and you know changing the hearts and minds of those people.
Hmm.
It's small baby steps. Progress has to be made
Hmm.
in strides, and I think we're doing that, you know.
I think
We're doing
so.
that.
I think we're setting a pretty good example. I mean, if I say so myself,
Yeah,
you
I
know.
agree.
And if Brokeback Mountain was the first to do it, then so be it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know, if it got the conversation started, then butterfly effect.
Yeah, precisely. And I love that. I
Oh
love
my
that so
God.
much.
It's so ignorant of me to say.
I love you for that though.
Oh my God. Oh,
Let Brokeback Mountain be the first thing you see. Let these two
oh.
straight men queer coding be the example.
Mhm. Take off that puffer jacket in that tent, girl.
With your pussy full of beans.
Ugh.
Fucking on top of this
Cheat on that
mountaintop.
wife, bitch. Cheat on that wife. Make her know. Oh, spoilers for Brokeback. I'm
I'm
sorry,
gonna
y'all.
watch it and then We should talk about it next time.
We
I'll
should.
watch it and we'll talk about it.
Because it honestly was the talk of the town. I can't tell you how many awful jokes I've heard about it,
Oh,
but
I'm
it's
sure.
honestly such a touching and impactful movie. As, you know, as
Only two straight men
gimmicky
can
as it
do.
can be,
Yeah.
it was important, I think.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, we should. That would be fun to do. We should
Yeah.
do that.
We should. But thank you so much for being here and doing this and chatting with me, and I say it all the time. I literally could talk to you for hours
Oh my
on
God.
end about everything.
Yes,
Everything.
me too. Me too. Me too. I can't believe how quickly time has passed. I
I
didn't even
know.
realize. Oh,
It
here
just
I
it
am
moves
curled
fast.
up. I got my feet hanging up, doing a little swish swashy. I'm on my back. I'm chilling. Like I'm on talking on the phone.
Yeah.
You know? Oh,
I love that. But
okay. Well, it was so nice to talk. I mean,
yeah,
as usual, right?
as always, I
Yeah.
love you so much.
I love you too.
And for everybody listening, thank you so much for hanging out with us and tuning in. And we will talk to you very soon.
Hmm.
Thank you for being here. Remember, you're very loved. You're doing a fantastic job, and you're doing the best that you can do, and that is all that you can. Have a great week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.